Dr. Zixthara Velnaris stood in front of the huge glass wall. Her 6 arms moved as she checked the controls one more time. Behind the thick glass was the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. The creature that had made her famous. The creature that was about to destroy her career. The room was dark except for the blue lights that came from the walls. Zixthara's crystal skin glowed softly in the light. She was tall, even for her people. Her race, the Kethmori, were known across the galaxy for being smart. They ran the best schools and research centers. Zixthara was the best of the best, but not today. Inside the cage, something moved. The creature was huge, 12 feet tall, with muscles that showed under her shiny scales. The scales changed color when she moved. Right now they were dark red. That meant anger. Zixthara knew this because she had studied the creature for 3 long years. The creature's name was Nixara. She was the last of her kind. Her people had all died when their planet was destroyed. Now she lived alone in this cage, far from home, far from everything she had ever known. Nixara turned her head toward the glass. Her eyes were like liquid silver. They seemed to look right through Zixthara. The professor felt cold when those eyes looked at her. Even after 3 years, those eyes still scared her. Zixthara remembered the first day Nixara had arrived. The transport ship had brought her from the dead planet Silthera. The captain had warned everyone that the creature was dangerous. Very dangerous. But Zixthara had been excited. This was her chance to make history. She would be the first to tame a Siltheran apex predator. She would show the galaxy that no creature was too wild to be controlled. Her name would be remembered forever. That was 3 years ago. Now, 17 people were dead. The first researcher had died on day 2. Dr. Keltan had gotten too close to the cage. Nixara had moved faster than anyone thought possible. Her claws had gone through the energy barrier like it was nothing. The man had died before the medical team could help him. After that, they made stronger barriers. Nixara broke through those too. They tried drugs to make her calm. The drugs did nothing. They tried loud sounds to scare her. She just got angrier. They tried starving her. She waited and waited. For weeks, she waited, never showing weakness. When they finally gave her food, her eyes promised revenge. More people died. Dr. Seltari had a mental breakdown after watching Nixara hunt. Professor Yilmoth quit and left the planet. 3 more researchers died in the next year. But Zixthara would not give up. Her pride was hurt. Her reputation was damaged. Other professors whispered behind her back. Students stopped coming to her classes. The Galactic Council was asking hard questions. She had tried everything she knew. She had read every book about animal behavior. She had talked to experts from 100 worlds. Nothing worked. Nixara remained wild, dangerous, untamable. The creature moved again. She was pacing now, back and forth, back and forth. Her claws clicked on the metal floor. The sound echoed in the room. It was a sound that haunted Zixthara's dreams. Yesterday, the council had sent a message. They were coming to shut down the project. If Zixthara could not show progress in 7 days, they would kill Nixara. The creature was too dangerous to keep alive, too expensive to maintain. Zixthara felt panic in her chest. 7 days. After 3 years of failure, she had 7 days to succeed. She had sent messages across the galaxy, desperate messages asking for help. Most people did not answer. Those who did said it was impossible. No one could tame a Siltheran apex predator. Many said she should have known this from the start, but then this morning she had received a strange message. It came from a small unknown planet called Earth. The message was from something called a human. Zixthara had never heard of humans before. They were new to galactic society, very new. The message said that humans had experience with dangerous predators. They said they could help. They were sending someone immediately. Zixthara had laughed when she read it. What could some unknown species from a backward planet do that she could not? She was the galaxy's leading expert on animal behavior. She had 6 degrees and 40 years of experience. But now, with only 7 days left, she was willing to try anything. Nixara suddenly stopped pacing. She turned to look directly at Zixthara. The professor felt those silver eyes studying her. Sometimes Zixthara thought the creature was smarter than she let on. Sometimes those eyes seemed almost intelligent. But that was impossible. The tests showed that Siltherans were just animals. Very dangerous animals, but still just animals. They had no language, no technology, no civilization. They were perfect killing machines and nothing more. At least, that's what all the books said. Zixthara shook her head. She was thinking crazy thoughts because she was desperate. Nyxara was an animal, a dangerous, untamable animal. The fact that she could not control her was just proof that some creatures were meant to stay wild. But she still had 7 days. 7 days to save her career. 7 days to prove that she was still the best behavioral scientist in the galaxy. 7 days to show that no creature was truly impossible to tame. The human would arrive tomorrow. Zixthara did not expect much from this meeting. Humans were probably small and weak like most new species. They likely had never seen anything as dangerous as Nyxara, but she would try anything now. Even asking for help from some unknown species was better than admitting defeat. Nyxara lay down in the corner of her cage. Her scales turned dark blue. That meant sadness. Zixthara had learned to read the color changes over the years. Red for anger, blue for sadness, green for fear, silver for something else. Something Zixthara had never been able to understand. The professor turned away from the glass. She had work to do. Files to prepare for the human visitor, reports to write for the council, last attempts to make before her time ran out. As she walked away, she did not see Nyxara's scales change to silver. She did not see the creature watching her leave. She did not see the intelligence in those liquid silver eyes. If she had looked back, she might have noticed that Nyxara's expression was not that of a wild animal. It was the expression of someone who was very, very tired of being misunderstood. Tomorrow, everything would change, but tonight, both the professor and the creature could only wait and hope for a miracle that seemed impossible to find. The spaceship landed on Platform 7 just as the morning sun rose over Kethmore Prime. It was small compared to the other ships at the spaceport. The name Wanderer was painted on its side in simple letters. Zixthara watched from her office window as 3 figures walked down the ship's ramp. Even from far away, she could see they were much smaller than most galactic species. They moved differently, too. Not with the formal steps of diplomats or the careful movements of scientists. They walked like they owned the ground under their feet. Dr. Amanda Clark arrived at Zixthara's office first. She was tall for a human, with short gray hair and kind eyes. She spoke the galactic language well, though with a strange accent. "I am Dr. Clark," she said, extending her hand in the human greeting gesture. "I study how different minds work. I am here to help understand the creature you are having trouble with." Zixthara touched the human's hand briefly. The skin was warm and soft, very different from her own crystal-like surface. Captain Lisa Morgan came next. She was shorter than Dr. Clark, but carried herself like a military leader. Her uniform was simple but clean. She had the look of someone who had seen many dangerous things and survived them all. "Captain Morgan," she said with a quick nod, "I command the Wanderer. We are here to help if we can." Then Maya Rodriguez walked in, and Zixthara felt surprised. The human was young, very young. She had long dark hair pulled back and wore simple clothes that looked like work gear. She carried a bag over her shoulder and moved with quiet confidence. "I am Maya," the young human said. "I work with animals that others think cannot be helped." Zixthara looked at her carefully. This small young creature was supposed to succeed where she had failed? It seemed impossible. "You are very young," Zixthara said. She did not mean to be rude, but the words came out anyway. Maya smiled. "Yes, I am 32 Earth years old, but I have been working with dangerous animals since I was a child. My planet has many creatures that people fear." "What kind of creatures?" Zixthara asked. "Tigers that can kill with one swipe of their claws, sharks that can smell blood from miles away, bears that weigh as much as small vehicles, snakes whose bite can kill in minutes." Dr. Clark added, "Maya has never failed to help an animal that others gave up on. She has a special gift for understanding creatures that seem impossible to reach." Zixthara felt doubt growing in her mind. These humans seemed nice, but they did not understand what they were dealing with. Nyxara was not just any dangerous animal. She was the apex predator of an entire world. She had killed trained professionals who had worked with dangerous creatures for decades. "I must warn you," Zixthara said. "This creature has killed 17 researchers. She is not like the animals on your planet. She is bigger, stronger, and more dangerous than anything you have ever seen. Maya nodded seriously. I understand the danger, but I would like to see her before I make any decisions. They walked through the research center's long hallways. Other alien scientists stopped their work to stare at the humans. Most had never seen members of this new species before. Whispers followed them as they moved. The humans think they can succeed where Dr. Velnaris failed. Those small creatures will be dead within the hour. Someone should stop this before more people get hurt. Zixthara heard the whispers but said nothing. Part of her agreed with them. Part of her hoped the humans would prove everyone wrong. They reached the observation room. Through the thick glass, Nixara was lying in the corner. Her scales were dark blue, the color of sadness. She looked up when she heard footsteps but did not move. Maya walked to the glass and stood very still. She did not speak. She just looked at Nixara with calm, steady eyes. Nixara's scales began to change. The dark blue shifted to silver, the color Zixithara had never understood. Interesting, Maya said softly. What is interesting? Zixithara asked. She is not angry or afraid. She is curious. Captain Morgan and Dr. Clark stood behind Maya, watching quietly. They seemed to trust their young friend completely. Nixara stood up slowly. She was huge, even bigger than Zixithara had described. Her muscles moved under her shiny scales as she walked toward the glass. Each step was graceful, but powerful. Maya did not step back. She kept looking directly into Nixara's silver eyes. The creature stopped right in front of the glass. She was so close that her breath fogged the surface. For a long moment, human and alien stared at each other. Then something amazing happened. Nixara sat down, not the crouch of a predator ready to attack. She sat like a person might sit when they wanted to have a conversation. How did you do that? Zixithara whispered. I did not do anything, Maya said. I just looked at her the way I would look at any person who was sad and alone. Person? Zixithara's voice was sharp. She is not a person. She is an animal, a very dangerous animal. Maya turned to look at the professor. Her dark eyes were serious but not angry. What makes someone a person? Maya asked. Zixithara did not know how to answer that question. It seemed obvious. People were civilized. They had language and technology and culture. Animals did not. People think and feel and make choices, Zixithara said finally. Maya nodded. Yes. And what do you see when you look at her? Zixithara looked back at Nixara. The creature was still sitting calmly. Her scales had turned a soft green color now. Her silver eyes seemed to be listening to their conversation. I see a dangerous predator that has killed many people, Zixithara said. I see someone who is very sad and very lonely, Maya said. Someone who has lost everything she ever cared about. Someone who is trapped in a small space with people who are afraid of her. Dr. Clark stepped forward. Maya, what do you need to begin working with her? Time, Maya said, and patience, and permission to try methods that might seem strange to people who study animals the traditional way. Zixithara felt her pride fighting with her desperation. The traditional methods were based on science and logic. They were proven techniques that had worked for thousands of years on hundreds of species, but they had not worked on Nixara. You have 7 days, Zixithara said. The council will shut down the project if you cannot show progress. Then we had better get started, Maya said. She walked back to the glass. Nixara was still sitting there, watching. Maya put her hand flat against the glass surface. Nixara looked at the hand for a moment. Then, very slowly, she lifted her own hand. It was huge, with claws that could cut through metal, but she placed it gently against the glass, right where Maya's hand was. For just a moment, it looked like they were touching. Two very different beings, separated by thick glass, but somehow connected. Zixithara felt something strange in her chest. It might have been hope, or it might have been fear that everything she believed about her life's work was about to change. What happens now? Captain Morgan asked. Maya smiled, but her eyes stayed serious. Now we find out if 3 years of pain and fear can be healed with 7 days of understanding. Nyx Ara's scales turned silver again, and for the first time in 3 years, Zix Thara thought that maybe, just maybe, the impossible might be possible after all. Maya sat on the floor outside Nyx Ara's cage. She had been there for 6 hours. She had not moved except to drink water or eat the simple food Kira Bennett brought her. Kira was the 3rd human who had come on the ship. She was an engineer with bright red hair and quick hands. She could fix anything and build anything. Right now, she was working to change Nyx Ara's cage from a cold, empty room into something that felt more like home. The walls are too smooth, Maya had said on the first day. Everything is too clean and bright. She needs textures and shadows and places to hide. Zix Thara had argued. The current environment is designed for easy observation and maximum safety. Changing it could create new dangers. The current environment is designed like a prison cell, Maya had said quietly. How would you feel if you lived in a prison cell for 3 years? Dr. Clark had supported Maya's request. Environmental psychology is important for all intelligent creatures. If we want to help her, we need to make her feel safe first. So Kira had gotten to work. She brought in rocks and pieces of metal that looked like the trees from Nyx Ara's homeworld. She installed lights that changed color like the sunset. She created small spaces where Nyx Ara could go when she wanted to be alone. Nyx Ara had watched all of this work with interest. Her scales stayed silver most of the time now. Sometimes they turned light blue, which Maya thought might mean hope. She is getting used to us, Maya explained to Zix Thara, but she is still scared. 3 years of people hurting her and studying her like a thing instead of a person. That takes time to heal. You keep calling her a person, Zix Thara said. But the tests show that her species had no language, no technology, no civilization. They were hunters and nothing more. Maya looked up from her spot on the floor. What if the tests were wrong? The tests cannot be wrong. We studied their planet for months before it was destroyed. We found no cities, no art, no signs of intelligence beyond basic hunting skills. Dr. Clark joined the conversation. Maya, tell her about the dolphins. Maya nodded. On Earth, we have creatures called dolphins. They are very smart. They have language and culture and they make tools. But they live in the ocean, so they never built cities or made fire. For a long time, humans thought dolphins were just clever animals. We were wrong. That is different, Zix Thara said. Dolphins are small and peaceful. Siltharans were apex predators. So are humans, Maya said. We are the most dangerous predators on our planet. We have killed more species than any other creature. But we are also people. Zix Thara did not know what to say to that. Inside the cage, Nyx Ara was lying on one of the new rock formations. She was watching Maya through half-closed eyes. She had been doing this for days now, just watching, learning. Maya started talking to her in a soft voice. She did this every day. She told Nyx Ara about Earth and about the animals she had worked with. She told her about a tiger named Sasha who had been hurt by poachers. She told her about a shark named Blue who had been caught in nets and rescued by humans. They were angry at first, Maya said, just like you. They had been hurt by people, so they thought all people were enemies. But when they learned that some people wanted to help, they started to trust again. Nyx Ara's scales shifted to a lighter shade of silver. I know you understand me, Maya continued. Maybe not my words, but my feelings. I am not here to hurt you or study you like the others. I am here to help you heal. Dr. Clark had been taking notes on everything that happened. She was fascinated by the interaction between Maya and Nyx Ara. The creature shows clear signs of complex emotional responses, she told Zix Thara. Her color changes are not random. They respond directly to Maya's tone of voice and body language. This suggests much higher intelligence than previously thought. Color changes could be simple emotional reactions, Zix Thara argued. Many non-intelligent species change color based on mood. But not in patterns this complex, Dr. Clark said. I have been recording every color change for 3 days. She uses at least 12 different colors and combinations. That is more complex than many known languages. On the fourth day, something new happened. Maya was sitting in her usual spot, telling Nixara about a wolf pack she had helped in Alaska. Suddenly, Nixara made a sound. It was not a roar or a growl. It was a soft, musical tone that seemed to have rhythm and pattern. She made the sound 3 times, with small changes each time. Maya stopped talking and listened. "Did you hear that?" she asked Dr. Clark. "Yes, it sounded almost like she was trying to talk," Maya finished. Zixthara was watching from the observation room above. She felt her heart's beating faster. If Nixara was trying to communicate, it would change everything. Maya made a soft sound back, not trying to copy Nixara's tone, but responding in her own voice. Nixara's scales turned bright silver. She made the musical sound again, longer this time. For the next hour, Maya and Nixara exchanged sounds. Maya used human words spoken in gentle tones. Nixara used her musical voice in different patterns. They seemed to be having a conversation, even though neither understood the other's language. "This is impossible," Zixthara whispered. Captain Morgan had been quiet for most of the week, but now she spoke. "Professor, on my planet we have a saying. When you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. It means that usually the simple answer is the right answer." "What is the simple answer here?" Zixthara asked. "That she is a person," Captain Morgan said. "A person who has been treated like an animal for 3 years. A person who is angry and sad and lonely. A person who wants to go home, but has no home left to go to." That night, Maya did something that made everyone nervous. She asked to sleep in the observation room next to Nixara's cage. "That is too dangerous," Zixthara said. "If something goes wrong with the containment system, nothing will go wrong," Maya said. "And even if it did, I do not think she would hurt me now." "You cannot be sure of that." "I am sure," Maya said. "I have been working with dangerous animals for 15 years. I know when they see me as a friend and when they see me as food. She sees me as a friend." Zixthara wanted to say no, but she was running out of time. Tomorrow would be day 5. The council would arrive in 3 days to see the results. Against her better judgment, she agreed. Maya set up a sleeping bag on the floor of the observation room. There was still thick glass between her and Nixara, but it felt closer than the upper observation deck. As Maya settled down to sleep, Nixara came to the glass wall. She lay down on her side, mirroring Maya's position. Her scales were a soft, silver-blue color. "Good night, Nixara," Maya whispered. The creature made a soft, musical sound back. It sounded almost like a lullaby. In the upper observation room, Zixthara watched through the security cameras. Her assistant, Dr. Koltar, stood beside her. "Professor," he said quietly, "what if the human is right? What if we have been wrong about the Siltharans all along?" Zixthara did not answer. She was thinking about 3 years of failure. 3 years of treating Nixara like a dangerous animal instead of like a person who had lost everything. If the humans were right, then Zixthara had not just failed as a scientist, she had failed as a moral being. She had kept a person locked in a cage, alone and afraid, for 3 long years. The thought made her feel sick. On the floor below, Maya and Nixara slept peacefully near each other, separated by glass, but connected by something deeper than walls could contain. For the first time in 3 years, neither of them was alone. On the 5th day, Maya asked for something that made everyone panic. "I want to go inside the cage with her," she said. "Absolutely not," Zixthara said immediately. "That is suicide. She will kill you the moment you enter." "No, she will not," Maya said calmly. "We have been talking for 4 days now. She trusts me." Dr. Clark looked worried. "Maya, I know you believe in your connection with her, but this is too dangerous. We do not know enough about her yet." "I know enough," Maya said. "I know she is lonely. I know she is smart. I know she has been treated badly for 3 years, and I know she needs someone to show her that not all people are her enemies." Captain Morgan stepped forward. "Maya, You are asking us to let you walk into a cage with something that has killed 17 trained researchers. I cannot allow that. With respect, Captain, Maya said, you cannot stop me either. I am not military. I am here as a volunteer. If I choose to take this risk, that is my choice to make. Zixithara felt panic rising in her chest. If the human died, it would not just end any hope of taming Nixara. It would also bring the full anger of the human government down on her head. Humans were new to galactic politics, but they were already showing that they protected their people fiercely. Please, Zixithara said. There must be another way. Maya looked at her with kind but determined eyes. Professor, you have spent 3 years trying other ways. How many more people have to die before we admit that the old methods do not work? But if you die, then you will know that I was wrong, Maya said. But if I live, if I can connect with her, then everything changes. Not just for her, but for how we treat all the creatures we think are just animals. Dr. Clark was taking readings from her portable scanner. Maya, her stress levels are very low right now, lower than they have been since she arrived. Her brain activity shows patterns we associate with curiosity and affection. Affection? Zixithara repeated. She cares about Maya, Dr. Clark said. The readings are similar to what we see in bonded pairs of many species. She sees Maya as family. Kira Bennett spoke up from her workstation. The containment field can be adjusted to let Maya in, but keep her safe. I can make it so she can get out fast if needed. After 2 hours of arguing, they reached a compromise. Maya would enter the cage, but only for 10 minutes. She would wear a tracking device that would teleport her out if her vital signs showed danger. Kira would monitor the containment field personally. When Maya stepped through the energy barrier into Nixara's space, everyone held their breath. Nixara was sitting in the far corner. When she saw Maya enter, her scales turned bright silver. She made a soft musical sound that everyone had learned meant happiness. Maya walked slowly into the center of the cage. She sat down on the floor in the same cross-legged position she used outside the glass. "Hello, Nixara," she said softly. "I am here." Nixara stood up. She was massive. Even sitting down, Maya's head only came up to Nixara's chest. The creature could have killed her with one swipe of her claws. Instead, Nixara walked carefully toward Maya. She moved slowly, like she was afraid of scaring her human friend. When she reached Maya, Nixara did something that shocked everyone. She lay down. She put her huge head on the ground right next to Maya and closed her eyes. Maya reached out slowly and touched Nixara's scaled forehead. The creature's scales turned the softest silver anyone had ever seen. "She is beautiful," Maya whispered. For 10 minutes, they sat together. Maya talked softly about Earth and about friendship across species. Nixara listened and occasionally made her musical sounds in response. When the time was up, Maya stood to leave. Nixara made a sad sound and her scales turned blue. "I will come back," Maya promised. "I will come back every day." Nixara's scales turned silver again. That night, Zixithara could not sleep. She kept thinking about what she had seen. The creature that had terrorized her research staff for 3 years had been gentle as a pet with the human. More than gentle. She had been loving. The next morning brought terrible news. Dr. Velmoth from the Galactic Council arrived early. He was not supposed to come until tomorrow, but he had heard rumors about the human experiments. "This project ends now," he announced. "I have reports that you are allowing an untrained alien to enter the creature's cage. This is madness. The human has made more progress in 5 days than we made in 3 years, Zixithara argued. Progress toward what? The creature is still dangerous. It has still killed 17 people. It is still impossible to control. But she is not trying to control her, Zixithara said. She is trying to understand her. Understanding is not enough, Dr. Velmoth said. The creature must be eliminated, today. Maya was in the cage with Nixara when the security team arrived. This time, she had permission to stay for an hour. She and Nixara were sitting side by side, and Maya was teaching her simple human words. "Maya," she said, pointing to herself. "Nixara," she said, pointing to her friend. Nixara was trying to copy the sounds. Her voice was not made for human words, but she was learning. When she managed to say Maya in a way that was almost right, her scales turned bright, happy silver. Then the alarm started ringing. Security guards in full armor marched into the observation room. Dr. Velmoth pointed at Nixara. "Eliminate the creature immediately," he ordered. "No," Zexthara shouted. "You cannot do this." "I can and I will," Dr. Velmoth said. "This experiment has gone too far." Inside the cage, Nixara sensed the danger. Her scales turned dark red. She stood up and moved protectively in front of Maya. Maya stood up too. "What is happening?" she called out. "They want to kill her," Zixthara said. "Dr. Velmoth says the project is over." Maya's face went white. "No, you cannot do that. She is a person. You cannot just kill her because she is inconvenient." "She is not a person," Dr. Velmoth said coldly. "She is a dangerous animal, and dangerous animals that cannot be controlled must be destroyed." Nixara could not understand the words, but she understood the threat. She had seen weapons before. She knew what the security guards planned to do. She made a sound Maya had never heard before. It was not musical like her attempts at language. It was a war cry, the sound her people had made when they defended their territory. Her scales turned black. The guards raised their weapons, but Maya stepped in front of Nixara. "If you want to kill her, you will have to kill me first," she said. Dr. Velmoth looked shocked. "Move aside, human. This does not concern your species." "It concerns me," Maya said. "She is my friend. I will not let you murder my friend." Nixara understood. Even without words, she understood that Maya was protecting her. Just like Maya had been protecting her all week. The creature that had been called impossible to tame gently picked up her human friend. She cradled Maya in her arms like something precious. Her scales turned silver again. Then she did something that changed everything. She spoke. Not in her musical language, not in broken human words. She spoke in perfect galactic standard, the language every intelligent species learned. "Please," she said, "do not hurt my friend." The room went completely silent. Even the guards lowered their weapons in shock. Dr. Velmoth's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. Zixthara felt her world turn upside down. For 3 years, she had been keeping a fully intelligent person locked in a cage, a person who spoke galactic standard, a person who had watched her people study her like an animal and had said nothing. "You can talk," Zixthara whispered. "Yes," Nixara said. Her voice was deep and musical, but the words were clear. "I have always been able to talk, but no one ever tried to talk to me. They only tried to control me." Maya looked up at her friend with tears in her eyes. "Why did you not speak before?" "Because I was angry," Nixara said. "Because I was sad. Because I thought all people were like the ones who took me from my dying world and put me in this cage." She looked down at Maya. "Until you came. You were the first person to treat me like a person. The first one to see me instead of just a monster to be tamed." Dr. Velmoth finally found his voice. This changes everything." "Yes," said Captain Morgan, who had been watching from the back of the room. "It does." The impossible had become possible. The untamable creature was not a creature at all. She was a person who had been waiting 3 years for someone to notice. The news spread across the galaxy in hours. The untamable monster was actually a fully intelligent person who had been wrongly imprisoned for 3 years. The story was on every news channel, in every scientific journal, and in every government meeting. Dr. Velmoth had to call the Galactic Council immediately. The project could not be shut down now. Instead, it became the most important case study in galactic history. Nixara was moved from her cage to proper quarters. She had her own room with a real bed, a window that looked out at the sky, and a door she could open herself. For the first time in 3 years, she was free to move around. Maya stayed with her as she adjusted to her new life. They spent hours talking. Nixara told Maya about her world, about her people, and about what had really happened when the humans first met her. "When you looked at me that first day," Nixara said, "I saw something I had forgotten existed. Kindness. The others looked at me like I was a thing to be studied, or a problem to be solved. You looked at me like I was a person worth knowing." "You are worth knowing," Maya said. "You are one of the most amazing people I have ever met." Zixthara struggled with what she had learned. For 3 years, she had kept an intelligent being locked up like an animal. She had failed not just as a scientist, but as a moral person. She came to see Nixara and Maya one evening. She stood in the doorway, unable to enter. "I do not know how to apologize for what I did to you," she said to Nixara. Nixara looked at her for a long moment. Her scales shifted from silver to green and back to silver. "You did what you thought was right," Nixara said finally. "You believed I was just an animal. Your people had no way to know different." "But I should have seen," Zixthara said. "I should have noticed that you were trying to communicate. I should have realized that your behavior patterns were too complex for a simple predator." "Maybe," Nixara said. "But you see it now. That is what matters." Dr. Clark had been studying Nixara's case files from the beginning. She discovered something important in the old records. "Nixara," she said, "when your planet was being evacuated, why did you not speak to the rescue teams?" Nixara's scales turned dark blue. "Because they were not rescue teams. They were scavenger teams. They came to take things from our dying world before it was completely destroyed. They took me because I was rare, not because they wanted to help me." "The official report said they were rescue missions," Dr. Clark said. "The official reports were wrong," Nixara said. "My people were dying, and instead of helping us, they took some of us to study in laboratories. I was the only one who survived the capture and transport." This revelation caused an even bigger scandal. The rescue mission had actually been illegal specimen gathering. Several high-ranking officials lost their jobs. New laws were passed about how to handle refugee situations on dying worlds. But the most important change was in how the galaxy thought about intelligence and personhood. Maya and Dr. Clark worked together to create new guidelines for identifying intelligent species. They focused on emotional complexity, communication attempts, and social behaviors rather than just technology and civilization. "A species does not need to build cities to be intelligent," Maya explained to the Galactic Council. "They need to think, feel, and choose." Nixara's people were intelligent. They just lived differently than most galactic species. Zixithara became one of the strongest supporters of the new guidelines. She used her influence and reputation to push for changes in how scientists studied other species. "I spent 3 years trying to tame someone who did not need to be tamed," she told a gathering of professors. "I was so focused on controlling her that I never tried to understand her. We must do better." The case of Nixara led to reviews of dozens of other animal research projects. 3 more species were reclassified as intelligent and given full rights. The galaxy's definition of personhood expanded beyond technology and cities to include all thinking, feeling beings. Captain Morgan offered Nixara a permanent place on the human ship Wanderer. "We explore the galaxy looking for new worlds and new species," she said. "Your knowledge of how to recognize intelligence in different forms would be valuable, and you would have a home with people who respect you." Nixara accepted. She became the ship's xenobiologist and cultural specialist. Her job was to help humans understand new species they encountered and to make sure they did not repeat the mistakes that had been made with her people. Maya continued working with creatures that others thought were impossible to help, but now she was not working alone. She had a partner who understood what it felt like to be misunderstood and mistreated. 6 months after the humans had arrived on Kethmore Prime, they made an incredible discovery. While exploring a distant star system, they found something amazing. "Maya," Kira called from the ship's scanner room, "you need to see this." The screen showed a small planet in the outer edge of the system. It was hidden behind an asteroid field, hard to find unless you were looking carefully. "What am I looking at?" Maya asked. Heat signatures, Kira said. Big ones, moving in patterns. Nixara came running when she heard the excitement. She looked at the scanner readings and her scales turned bright silver. Those are not random patterns, she whispered. Dr. Clark ran more detailed scans. The heat signatures are consistent with large, intelligent creatures. They are using tools. They have built shelters. Nixara could barely speak. My people, some of my people survived. The planet was called Silthera Nova. A small group of Siltherans had escaped their dying world and found this hidden place. They had been living there for years, thinking they were the last of their kind. When the Wanderer landed on the planet, the survivors came out to meet them. They were cautious at first, but when they saw Nixara, everything changed. The reunion was beautiful and heartbreaking. Nixara had not seen another of her people in 3 years. Her scales cycled through every color as she was welcomed back into her community. The survivors told their story. They had been explorers when their world started dying. They had been far enough away to escape, but too far away to help with the evacuation. They had searched for other survivors, but found none. We thought we were alone, their leader said. We thought our people were extinct. I thought the same thing, Nixara said. But we are not alone anymore. Maya watched the reunion with tears in her eyes. This was what she had hoped for from the beginning, not just to tame a dangerous creature, but to help a person find her way home. Zixthera came to Silthera Nova a month later. She wanted to study the Siltheran culture, but this time as a friend rather than as someone trying to control them. I want to learn about your people properly, she told the community. I want to understand who you really are. The Siltherans welcomed her. They taught her their true language, their history, and their way of life. Zixthara discovered that they had always been intelligent. They had art and music and stories. They had science and philosophy. They just expressed these things differently than most galactic species. We built with living things instead of metal, they explained. We wrote our stories in songs instead of books. We studied the stars by watching how they affected the life on our world. Zixthara published papers about their culture that changed how the galaxy understood intelligence and civilization. She became known not as the professor who failed to tame a monster, but as the professor who learned to see people as they really were. Maya stayed on Silthera Nova for a few weeks, helping Nixara settle in with her people. When it was time to leave, the goodbye was hard. You saved my life, Nixara said, not just by keeping me alive, but by seeing who I really was when everyone else saw only a monster. You saved mine too, Maya said. You taught me that understanding is always more powerful than control. Nixara decided to stay with her people, but she also kept her job on the Wanderer. She would travel between her homeworld and the human ship, helping both communities learn about other species they encountered. Years later, when Maya was asked to explain how she had succeeded where everyone else had failed, her answer was simple. I did not try to tame her, Maya said. I tried to understand her. I treated her like a person instead of a problem, and when you do that, amazing things become possible. The story of Maya and Nixara became famous across the galaxy. It was taught in schools as an example of how different species could learn to understand each other. It was used to train diplomats in cross-species communication. It became proof that no person is truly impossible to reach if you approach them with kindness and respect. And on a small, hidden planet called Silthera Nova, a community of survivors grew and thrived, no longer alone in the universe. They built their new civilization differently than before, but they built it with hope. Sometimes the impossible just needs someone brave enough to see it as possible. Sometimes the untamable just needs someone kind enough to see them as a person worth knowing. And sometimes the greatest discoveries come not from trying to control the unknown, but from trying to understand it. The galaxy learned this lesson from a young human woman and her alien friend, and the universe became a little bit kinder because of it.